Some of the strongest performers that I worked with weren't always the people I saw as future leaders. And some of the people that I saw as future leaders weren't the strongest performers, which sounds completely backwards because surely the best performers become the future leaders. That's what I thought too. But when I became a Big Four manager, I realized I wasn't just assessing performance. I was assessing potential, and those turned out to be two very different things. Performance and potential overlap, but they're not the same thing. I worked with some technically strong people, but I could see that they weren't moving up fast. And I watched others, not always the strongest on paper, move up quickly because they were sending different signals. Signals that told people, without even saying a word, that this person was ready for more. So let me tell you what those 5 signals actually are. Signal 1, it is comfort with discomfort, being willing to be uncomfortable. And I want to frame this carefully before this gets misunderstood. I'm not talking about being fearless, never worrying about anything. I'm not talking about loving pressure or never feeling out of depth. Some of the people I'm thinking of right now, I knew they hadn't done things before because they were comfortable at least telling me that. But they did it anyway. They gave that presentation before they felt ready. They said yes to taking on more responsibility, even though they have never done that in the past. Compare that with someone, and hopefully this doesn't feel personal, who keeps waiting to feel ready, waiting to feel confident, waiting until the moment feels right. That moment rarely comes, and waiting is very obvious. Now, not everyone wants to move into leadership positions. I know people who were technically brilliant, and it seemed as though they would do so well if they carried on, but they didn't want to, and that is okay. That's the right call for them. But if you want to progress, discomfort is part of the path. You will constantly be doing things that you have never tried before. Uncertainty isn't a sign that you're not ready. It's a sign that you are growing. The people who get there faster figure that out earlier. Now, the next signal is absolutely critical, and it is a clear indicator of future leadership potential from day 1. Signal 2, initiative. Are you waiting to be told what to do? Or are you thinking ahead of the conversation? Because there's a version of high performers that are entirely reactive. Someone gives you a task, you do it brilliantly. You come back for the next one. That's valuable, but it has a ceiling. The people who move faster, they're already thinking, what is the next problem? What can I get ready earlier and do before things get busy? What's about to go wrong that nobody's noticed yet? They're not always waiting for the next instruction. Sometimes they are creating it, sharing their ideas, standing on their own 2 feet. As a manager, I cannot tell you how much that stands out, because the more senior you become, sometimes the less direction you receive. You might not always have someone mapping out your priorities for you. You're expected to create clarity, not wait for it. The people practicing that early have a head start that compounds. Another version of initiative is, are you getting stuck into tasks and figuring out things on your own? Which leads me nicely into signal 3, outcomes, not tasks. This one is subtle, but it's big. High performers are often excellent executors. Give them a task, they will do it amazingly. It's proper, it's thorough. But future leaders think past just that single task. They think about the outcome, the bigger picture. There's a version of doing a task that sounds like, done my bit. And then there's a version of this that sounds like, has the problem been solved? Have I really owned this? Those 2 versions come from completely different places. One person is thinking about their work, the other about the result, the dependencies, the stakeholders, seeing the whole thing through. Leadership isn't about completing tasks. It's about being accountable for results. The people who start thinking that way, they're usually operating at the next level before the title comes, which is exactly how they got it. Now, signal 4, lifting others up. I used to think leadership started the day you start coaching people. I don't think that anymore. I think leadership starts the moment you start making others around you perform better, before any title or any sort of role. Are you the kind of person who shares what you know, who pulls colleagues up, who helps someone with a problem? Not always because it's your responsibility to do that, because managers notice that, your role within a team. And the reason is simple. Organizations aren't built on individual performance. They are built on collective performance as a team. If you can actually positively influence people before you have any authority over them, that tells me exactly the kind of leader that you'll be. It isn't all about you. So signal 5, thinking beyond yourself. This is the most senior signal of all. At some point, something shifts in the people who start progressing fastest. They stop thinking purely about their own work and start thinking about the wider business. The question shifts from what do I need to do to what does the business need? Senior leaders are already operating at that level. So when someone early in their career starts thinking that way, starts contributing to the wider role, it gets noticed immediately. That shift signals something specific, that you exist within a system, not just in your role. The mistake most people make is thinking that progression is just performance plus time. Work hard enough, deliver consistently enough, stay long enough, and eventually you'll be seen as ready. But your manager isn't just watching what you produce. They are watching how you respond to uncertainty, whether you think ahead of what you've been told to do, whether you own outcomes or just tasks, how you treat the people around you, and whether you understand the business beyond just your piece of it. Because at some point in your career, people stop assessing what you've done and start assessing what you're ready for. I call that the role switch. And those are two very different conversations. The question is, what signal are you sending? If you give me your time, I do not take that lightly. Subscribe so I know that this is worth building. I'm Jag Daliwell. Let's keep getting into the subtext, and I'll see you next week.